The Philippines has a long and turbulent history, marked by periods of colonial rule, authoritarianism, and people power uprisings. This archipelago nation has seen its fair share of struggles and triumphs, with its people often at the forefront of significant political changes. From the 1986 EDSA revolution that ousted Ferdinand Marcos Sr., to the 2001 second EDSA revolution that removed President Joseph Estrada, Filipinos have shown a remarkable capacity for collective action against perceived injustices and corruption. These events are not just historical footnotes but are deeply ingrained in the national consciousness. These revolutions highlight the fragility of power and the potent force of the people when driven to action. The collective will of the masses has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to challenge and change the status quo, making it clear that the voice of the people is a formidable force. The 1986 EDSA revolution, a largely peaceful uprising, captured the world's attention as millions of Filipinos, fueled by outrage over the assassination of Senator Benigno Aquino Jr., took to the streets. This event was a watershed moment, showcasing the power of non-violent resistance and the unity of a nation in the face of oppression. This iconic display of people power forced Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and his family into exile, marking a turning point in Philippine history. The victory was not just political, but also symbolic, representing the triumph of democracy and the people's will over tyranny and dictatorship. Years later, in 2001, history seemed to repeat itself with the second EDSA revolution. This time the target was President Joseph Estrada, whose administration was marred by allegations of corruption and cronyism. Accusations of corruption and cronyism plagued the administration of President Joseph Estrada. The public's growing discontent was palpable, and the call for change became increasingly louder. Massive protests, again spearheaded by civil society groups and supported by the Catholic Church, erupted in the streets of Manila. The unity and determination of the people were once again on full display as they demanded accountability and transparency from their leaders. Estrada's loss of military support eventually led to his downfall, further cementing the notion of people power as a potent force in Philippine politics. The military's withdrawal of support was a critical turning point, underscoring the importance of institutional backing in the success of such movements. These two revolutions serve as crucial reference points in understanding the current political climate in the Philippines. They remind us of the potential for dramatic shifts in power, driven by public sentiment and supported by key institutions. They highlight the potential for dramatic shifts in power, driven by public sentiment and supported by key institutions. The legacy of these movements continues to influence the political landscape, reminding leaders of the power and resolve of the Filipino people. The legacy of people power casts a long shadow over the current political landscape, serving as both a source of hope and a cautionary tale. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of the Filipino people and their unwavering commitment to democracy and justice. The 2022 Philippine presidential election saw the unlikely alliance of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., son of the late dictator, and Sara Duterte, daughter of then-President Rodrigo Duterte. This political partnership, seemingly improbable due to their families' historical differences, raised eyebrows and sparked debate across the nation. Many viewed it as a calculated maneuver to secure victory and consolidate power. Marcos Jr., capitalizing on nostalgia for his father's regime and a carefully crafted campaign that sought to rewrite history, managed to galvanize a significant portion of the electorate. Duterte, inheriting her father's massive support base and projecting an image of strength and decisiveness, proved to be a formidable political force. Their alliance, a marriage of political convenience, brought together two of the most influential political dynasties in the Philippines. This union of political forces, while seemingly formidable, also carried within it the seeds of potential discord. The shared history of their families, once at odds, hinted at underlying tensions that could resurface. The seemingly united front presented during the election started to show cracks soon after President Marcos Jr. assumed office. The initial harmony that was showcased to the public began to unravel, revealing underlying tensions and differing ambitions among the key players in the administration. Vice President Sara Duterte, taking on the education portfolio, made it clear that she would chart her own course. Her approach to leadership was distinct and often diverged from the president's policies, signaling her intent to establish a separate identity within the government. Her strong stance on issues like mandatory military service for youth and the reinstatement of the death penalty hinted at a more assertive and independent vice president. These controversial positions sparked debates and highlighted her willingness to push forward her own agenda, regardless of the administration's broader strategy. Adding to the intrigue, House Speaker Martin Romualdez, a cousin of President Marcos Jr., emerged as a powerful figure in his own right. His rise was not just due to his familial connections, but also his strategic maneuvering within the political landscape. Romualdez, known for his political acumen and vast network of allies, quickly consolidated his power base within the legislature. His ability to navigate the complex political environment and build alliances made him a formidable force. His influence over key appointments and legislative priorities demonstrated his growing stature within the ruling coalition. Romualdez's strategic placements of loyalists in critical positions further solidified his control and influence. The emergence of Duterte and Romualdez as independent power centers within the administration signaled a potential shift in the political landscape. Their actions suggested a move towards a more decentralized power structure, where multiple leaders could shape the country's direction. Their willingness to assert their own agendas and challenge the president's authority hinted at a more fragmented and less predictable political environment. This new dynamic introduced uncertainties and potential conflicts within the administration, making the political scene more volatile. The initial alliance, formed for electoral success, now faced the test of governing a complex and demanding nation. The true challenge lay in maintaining unity and coherence while addressing the diverse and pressing issues facing the country. While it is still early in the Marcos Jr. administration, there are already signs of public discontent brewing beneath the surface. The initial optimism that accompanied his election is beginning to wane as the realities of governance set in. The rising cost of living, persistent poverty, and concerns about corruption and human rights violations have fueled a sense of unease among many Filipinos. These issues are not new, but their persistence has led to growing frustration. Social media platforms, often a barometer of public sentiment, have seen an uptick in criticism directed at the government and its policies. Hashtags calling for accountability and transparency are trending more frequently. However, it is important to note that the current situation differs significantly from the pre-EDSA and EDSA DOS periods. The political landscape has changed, and so have the dynamics of protest and dissent. Unlike the Marcos Sr. and Estrada eras, there is no single unifying issue that has galvanized widespread opposition. The grievances are varied and often fragmented, making it harder to form a cohesive movement. Additionally, the administration enjoys the support of a significant portion of the population, particularly those who benefited from the previous Duterte administration's policies or are nostalgic for the Marcos era. This nostalgia is a powerful force, often overshadowing current discontent. While the possibility of another people power revolution cannot be entirely ruled out, the conditions that led to previous uprisings are not yet present. The current environment is more complex and less predictable. The current administration, despite facing criticism, maintains a level of popular support and control over key institutions. This control acts as a buffer against potential uprisings. Whether public discontent will escalate into a full-blown crisis remains to be seen. The coming months will be crucial in determining the trajectory of the Marcos Jr. administration and the resilience of the Filipino people's spirit.